Welcome to the Health and Happiness Show. As many of you know, I, Janet Huggins, will be your host this evening. And if this is your first time, I am a doctor of naturopath and an iridologist, a graduate from Kent State. And what we do is I provide consultations which include biological terrain assessment, which includes a urine and saliva testing, and it gives you a whole printout of what is going on in your body as far as your circulation, your mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of your body, the cellular level, and it tells you also if you're drinking enough water, also how your pH is, because it's so important to remember that the pH is so important today, because when we're too acidic, that is when disease begins. And we have the chart here, as you can see, when we're too acidic, that is when disease begins. And that comes from like coffee, soda pop, and stress. And like I just did a holistic psychic show on Sunday, and it was amazing how much stress I was able to see by doing the iridology. Because when I do the iridology, I brought a bigger chart this time too, but he may bring it up as well. You will see this is the chart to the iris, the color part of your eye. And on the outside edge of the iris, there will be little lines going around like a pencil mark, and those are stress lines. And that's what I am seeing more and more of this in today's world. And actually, we sold out of this Stress J. Stress J is a very common nervine supplement combination, which includes chamomile and passion flower, which many of you may know are nervine plants. So that goes in and supports the central nervous system. So, you know, what I'm seeing, I try to keep it simple when I do the free iridology, when I do consultations. And I'm seeing a lot of toxins, which we're going to talk about that as well. I love the Tahi cleanse, and the Tahi cleanse is excellent because it's a systemic cleanse. It's going to go in and help clean your liver. Remember, the liver is what does all of the filtering when we're exposed to toxins. So it has burdock in it, which is going to clean your blood as well. It has some black walnut, which is going to help if there's any of those little creatures called parasites. And then it also has some psyllium hulls as well. So you've got to drink a lot of water. And it has a little bit of LBS too, which is long, brown, and smooth. So remember, we have different elimination systems. We have the colon, we have the urine, we have the skin, and we have the lungs. So, you know, we've got to make sure that that colon is open at all times. So usually what I suggest to the clients, if we're pretty toxic, the Tahi cleanse, of course, we muscle test, and if they're strong for this one, they come in packets. And all of the supplements that I told you about, the burdock, the liver support, the black walnut, these are all in this one packet. And you take that at the evening meal or before you go to bed, because the results will occur in 10 to 12 hours. When I say results, that means you're going to have a bowel movement. And we certainly don't want to say if you have a dentist appointment at 9 o'clock, we want to take it like at 6 o'clock in the evening. So we've got to make sure that's covered, because in the directions, it says to take a packet morning and night, but I'm on the conservative side, and let's try it just taking a packet in the evening. So if we don't get an elimination like we should in 2 or 3 days, then we'll take a pack in the morning and in the evening, because I just had a lady in on Wednesday, and she was having trouble with her colon, and she needed a detox. She had a lot of toxins, so she was really concerned, and I said, okay, we're going to start out one packet. I will follow up with her. Today is like Thursday. I will call her on Friday to make sure that this is working properly for her. If not, we'll have to go to 2 packets a day. So, you know, we have to listen to our body, and we're going to talk about that in a brief minute. So we muscle test for the Tahi cleanse, and then what I'm finding, another one is the environmental detox. It's usually they like the environmental detox or the Tahi cleanse. And of course we add the chlorophyll as well. The liquid chlorophyll is awesome because that's going to go in and balance your pH, it's going to detox you, and it's going to help your hemoglobin. And you have to remember the hemoglobin carries the oxygen. Would you like some, Venette?
Certainly.
This is our guest Venette, so we're going to get her
Thank you.
cleaned up as well. We all need it a little bit, you know, in that toxic world that we live in today. I mean, if it's not only the air we breathe, the food that we are eating, and the water that we're drinking, the chemical cocktail coming out of your sink, you know, I mean, there's just toxins everywhere, and it's much more intense now than when we were growing up. So, especially in the food environment. So you have to be your CEO of your body. So, you know, whenever you come in for a consult, whenever you do the saliva and urine testing, of course, if you know your blood type, we also include a printout that tells you what's beneficial, what you need to avoid as well. So I'm planning probably, I'm thinking maybe June, I will do a class on the blood type diet and talk about A, B, you know, and positive, you know, O. Doesn't matter if you're positive or negative. So we'll talk about that and go into that a little bit more depth as well. So that's just a little bit of what I do, and I include iridology with everything I do because that's how I started out. I was so blessed to have the opportunity to study with Dr. Jensen back in the late 1999. I studied with him up in Canada and spent a week studying with him. And he's now passed, but he was the father of iridology, and he was excellent. So I was very blessed, and now his daughter-in-law has taken over the business, Ellen Jensen, and I will see her again in August when I go out to the Naturopath Conference out in Las Vegas as well, which I go out every year for 23 hours of continuing education as well. So anyway, here we are. Welcome spring. March 19th, we're ready for it, aren't we? And what I have noticed already, because we're doing the recording here in February, my daffodils are up like 1.5 inches. So we've had a very mild winter, a few cold spells, but basically overall very good. And since spring is here, we need to think about our lettuce packet, which I picked up the other day, and you notice this is organic as well. Now what I will do come the first part of March, depending the weather's not too bad, I will get out there and get my big pot out. I have a big round pot on my deck, and I will dig up the dirt, and guess what? I am going to plant my lettuce. Now, I'm also hoping to plant my peas. Peas, I remember when growing up, my mother would always tell me, you have to plant your peas by St. Patty's Day. Understand the lettuce and the peas are cold plants, so they can deal with the cold weather is what I'm getting at. So, you know, with the economy the way it is now, maybe you live in an apartment, maybe a condo. You know, you don't have to have all the acreage. What I'm saying is you don't have to have all the land. You can go out and dig up by your flower bed or by your tree or whatever, or just get your big pot and dig it up and have your plants there. Because I always do my lettuce, and then I will put in some tomato plants, the little cherry ones too, because I personally have a little miniature Dotson Mini, and when I take her out to go potty, I'll pick up a tomato and eat it on the way. So there we are. We're getting some good nutrients as we're taking our little walk as well. So I just wanted to remind you to do that as well. And we also do a newsletter every month, and this one was so very good. It's on stress, and it talks about the different things we can do. But what I have found too, whenever I see a lot of clients that have stress, I would say 95% of them are not exercising like they should. And exercising can really go in and help you relieve a lot of anxiety. Talk to God, let it go, and be positive. And listen to your body. It's talking to you. And that's what I'm going to take 5 minutes to go into talking about the vehicle that you are driving through life every day, and that's your body. So we have to take care of our body. It's just no different than a car. This is like your vehicle that you were given, but it's your body, and you're the driver of it. So I just want to go through the few notes that I had for that as well. So a lot of times whenever we get a symptom, it could be like you have to listen to your body. It's talking to you. Say if you're getting hungry, your body will tell you. Maybe you're getting thirsty, your body will tell you. You have to listen to it. It is talking to you. Maybe if you have a pain, maybe it's because you have a lot of internal inflammation and you're eating the wrong food. So it's no different than a car that needs maintenance. We take that car to get the oil checked, you know, because it tells you on the, you know, when I get my oil changed, it tells you when to bring it back. So you have to take care of that. That's my vehicle to get me to point A to B to C. So what we have to do is maintain our bodies the same way. Listen to it. We have to maintain the car to keep it going, so we have to do the same thing for our body. So maybe if you have some aches and pains, maybe we need some omega-3s. Quit eating the sugar foods, the dead foods, eat the live foods, and you're going to provide more energy for your body as well. So I'm just saying, listen to your body, it's talking to you. And if you're stressed, you know, we have the Nervanes, and we can muscle test you for that as well. So, and then maybe we need to detox, like we were talking about the environmental detox. Great combination, which has burdock in it, which is going to clean your blood. It also has some probiotics in it. Also has milk thistle, again, to clean the liver. So this will clean the liver. It'll clean your blood. It has echinacea to help the white blood cells as well. It has yellow dock in it also to help clean. So it's a great combination. The only downside is that it says to take at least 2-3 times a day. So I kind of cheat, and what I do is have a client, or myself if I'm doing this one, I will take 3 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon. So you can divide that up, because many of us are busy working, family, or working a day job, or just busy with life. We have to keep it simple so you can accommodate taking care of your body. So again, what I would do is I muscle test, like everything has an energy rate, so you're going to tell me what is best for you. So, but always remember also, we need to clean. It's springtime, it's new birth, we need to go and clean it up, and everything needs cleaned up, and we're ready to grow and to spread our wings. Also, I would still continue on our vitamin D3 rather than taking 6,000 units, which I take now being February because it's pretty dark, but we've had some sun. But I would bounce down to maybe 3 or 4 IU units a day, because since it's going to be sunny out and going to the nicer weathers. So also, with the spring, we have the ALJ, is what I used to be called. It's called seasonal allergies, and you only take these when you need it. It has fenugreek, horseradish, and mullein in it, so it's going to help with the respiratory system as well. So that's our little One Healthy Minute for today, and now we have a very popular astrologist with us, Venette. How long have you been doing astrology, Venette?
Well, I've had an interest since I've been a kid.
Okay.
But professionally, like studying it intensely, probably the last 4 or 5 years.
Nice, very nice. And by your day job, you're a pharmacist?
Day job, I'm a pharmacist,
and
still
then,
a pharmacist. Yeah, and then whenever I'm not doing pharmacy, I'm doing astrology.
No, I understand, because I was at the post office and doing the, you know, the holistic health opportunities and providing service for that, and then after I retired I went on and got my doctor of naturopath. So you were certified astrologist, and
yeah, well,
what does that mean?
Technically I'm not certified. I mean, there's different schools. I actually went to the Deborah Silverman Applied Astrology School, and actually the 3rd level I had her personally as a teacher. She's internationally known. She's a psychologist and astrologer for over 40 years.
Really?
So that really resonated with me from my science background. You know, people have asked me, like, you know, being a pharmacist with that scientific thing, how did you pick astrology? But astrology actually has a lot of science to it. What I really like is that, especially in this day and age, nobody ever argues where the planets are. We know where the planets are. We know where they were. We know where they're going. We know the rotation. There's never any debate of where they are. So that concreteness of knowing what it is really, really resonated with me. And then from there, astrology is about patterns. Mm-hmm. And astrology is ancient. It's first showed up in Mesopotamia. So that's a pretty long time ago.
Okay, nice, very nice.
So, and,
nice.
And that, you know, that trajectory has gone. And what has happened is that since we know where the planets are, people started observing what happened when the planets did certain thing. And we have sort of a timetable from Mesopotamia times, in a sense, of knowing what the planets do, and now they've been able to make observations that certain things seem to happen when the planets are in certain positions. And that's sort of the general premise of astrology, I will say. With everything there's an interpretation.
Nice.
And there's different types of astrology too, which I just want to mention at least in a certain fashion, because if you're Googling things about astrology, you sort of need to know like what you're looking at. So I do Western, which is modern astrology. That's more about psychology, self-improvement, free will.
Nice.
And then if you're like Googling things, you want to know if it's Western astrology versus like Vedic or Indian astrology, which how they calculate the zodiac is a little different. So if you're in Vedic astrology, you're, I believe you said a Libra, right?
A Libra, correct.
You might not be a Libra in Vedic astrology. So,
Okay.
so you want to know that. And then just like terms, like if you're looking up information, you want to look for like your natal chart, which is when you were born.
Right, which I'm still searching for.
We're
that.
searching for, yeah. And
Yeah,
we're
yeah.
going to, I want to give a couple examples of like how a chart looked, just because I know when I first looked at it, it was like hieroglyphics. It was like hieroglyphics, but exciting and like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, I have no idea what this means. And so, and anybody can look up a chart. There's all kind of free websites. I use astro.com. I like that one. But to be able to look up a birth chart, you need to know your birthday, which
Right.
makes sense.
Right.
You need to know where you were born,
Okay,
and then the time you were born.
yes.
And the reason you do that, it gives it much more detail. And I have a couple charts. I have Janet's chart that will, with
Right.
your permission, show for a
Right,
minute.
right.
And that's number one, if you want to show that.
Okay,
And so you can see, it's a circle. It looks like hieroglyphics, and but there wasn't very much detail. And then
Right.
chart number two is Diana Ross. We'll go
Right.
to- Then now you can see like there's a pie shape, and that gives you more detail
Mm-hmm.
about what's going on in the chart. I mean, astrology is like an onion, lots and lots of layers, lots of different things going on at the same time. So there's a lot to digest. I mean, it's just not when you look in the paper and you look at your sun sign and like one dimensional. There's a lot more to it,
Than
and that's
that.
why like if you go to a professional astrologer to have it done, there's a fee involved because it's time consuming, and you really need to understand the chart to be able to
Right,
talk to
right.
somebody about it. And then also the third chart, just to give it a different look. This is Bruce Springsteen's chart, just so a couple different famous people.
Nice, yeah.
Then you can sort of get a feel like how it just looks different. You can imagine like the closer the planets are, the more the energy is intertwined.
Okay.
And so it's sort of like a blender that may show up differently. And so even when you look at a chart, I mean, there's, with AI, you can like print out things and it'll tell you that, but it's really not, you really need to talk to someone, because just what it shows on paper doesn't mean that's how it's showing up in your life.
Right.
Because you have free will, and you don't always have to pick what's going on in your chart. I mean, you can sort of fight it. Not always a good idea, but you can.
Now, so if you make
Okay,
an
that's good.
appointment with an astrology session, how long is that? An hour, hour and a half?
Well, I do different ones. I do mini ones.
Okay.
I mean, a mini one like maybe 15 minutes if you just want like a cursory overview of what's going on.
Yeah,
A longer chart, I can do an hour,
right. More detailed.
more detailed.
Yeah.
I've done some a little longer. So it's really like an hour, I think, is sort of a good break point.
Okay.
Else it's too much information to take in. I mean, even I've had people like that I've given a reading to, and then at the time they're just like, oh, no, that's not me, that's not me. I mean, I'm asking questions, no, no, no. And then like 2 months later, I see them, they're like, you know what?
You were right. Yeah, yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's not like in a prediction. Like, so the other thing about astrology, because my son was asking me, is like, what's the difference between astrology and going to a psychic or getting your palm read or
Oh,
a
that's
tarot
totally
reading?
different, yeah.
Yeah. So, but just to make it clear that, I mean, astrology is based on the planets and their rotations. So there's more concrete information.
Right.
Where the others are good value too in a different way, but that's more intuition and works in a different way than astrology.
Right.
And they can go hand in hand. It doesn't mean, but they're definitely different modalities of learning information about
Right,
yourself.
Right, very good. Interesting. Yes. Okay. All right, so where do we go from here now? We go down to, you want to start talking about the Libra?
Yeah, well,
An
we could talk a
example?
little bit about that. So, like, now Jan and I, we haven't known each other real long, but we
Right.
seem to connect quickly. Now, Janet's a Libra,
Right.
and I will say a Libra usually, and you can tell me if this resonates with you.
Yeah.
Libras are really good about balancing things. You're really about balance and relationships. Like, you really like to look at all the facets before you make a decision. I think you're probably slow to make a decision because you're looking at all the different avenues
Right.
before you make it. And you
Right.
want to make the right decision, and it's
Right.
real important that it's really, really fair.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And then, and it's also an air sign, so it's cerebral, like you're a thinker. You think about things, you analyze things.
Oh yeah, I'm a thinker. Yeah, that's you hit me right there for sure. And many times I can't make a decision.
And that's part of Libra. That's part of Libra's too, because you have all that information. You're trying to weigh it out, and you want to make the best decision. And you don't want to offend anybody. Like, if there's people involved, or if it's a business, whatever you're looking at all the angles all the time.
Right.
That's real important. And you're communicating. You're doing this, but you're going to be slow to move. And some people on the other end might look at it like you can't make up your mind, but it's not that. They don't realize how much analytical thinking
Right.
is going into that, and the layers of it, and the back and forth. Okay, well, if I do this, looking at the outcome, and if I do that, looking at the outcome. So there's a lot of that. But if someone's looking at from the other side, they're just looking at like, well, can't this person make up their mind?
Well, I know, and that does relate to me because I know before I decided to do my doctorate in naturopath, I debated probably 6 months, maybe a bit longer. But I just decided I had to think it over myself rather than listening to my daughter or, my family. And I said, I'm doing it. Mine was
well-
made up. So,
Well, and it's funny because just peeking at your chart, because we didn't have all the details, is
Right.
that there's also the way your sun's laid out and the energy around it, that you're very, very, very sensitive to what other people think, and that.
Yes.
And there's a connection of the spiritual that that's very important in your life. That really highlights and throws a lens on how you look at things.
right, and that's me to a T.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah,
So,
very
yeah.
sensitive. Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you're an air sign, and I'm an air sign, so I think that's what, like, elementally, in Western astrology, we have the zodiac signs. There's 12 of them, and they're broken down in elements: air, water, earth, and fire.
That's right. I'm familiar. I studied that in my naturopath
Yeah, in
class.
naturopath they had that, and I think
Yeah.
in the Chinese there's 5. They have
Right. Right.
metal, I think, is the other one
Yes,
that they
yes.
add. So I'm Aquarius, and Aquarius is also an air sign. So elementally, I think we already connected.
Right.
Now, Aquarius has some of the similar traits, very cerebral, thinking about things a lot and analyzing. And an Aquarius tends to be a little more non-conventional, a little, sometimes people will say eccentric, or
Right.
do things in a very different way.
Right.
Very future thinking.
Yeah.
And so I will say that now that I understand astrology in a deeper way, then I understand that, yeah, I'm very Aquarius. That parts of me, when I was very young, I really embraced it. I did a lot of different things and
Right.
wasn't afraid to, like, stand out and be different.
Right.
Even though, like in high school, sometimes that's hard. But then over time, I noticed I tried to conform, but it was always hard. I would get in trouble in some way because I would see things that, like, even in my work in pharmacy, like how a workflow, like how things should work. Like, to me, it was like very simple. Like, you do this and this, it's going to be much more efficient.
Right.
And then I would get bucked. I was like, no, you can't do that. That's not
Right.
the way we do things. That's not going to work. And,
Right.
I'd get shot down. So,
Interesting. Yeah, because I feel as though I walk a different path than most of the people. That's just me, I'm pretty spiritual,
yes.
and, that's why I try to share the nutrition value of providing maintenance for our body as well.
Yeah, and that's the way I look at. I'm a spiritual and, like, helpful person like you.
Right.
And my pharmacy has given me that gift to be able to do that in a certain fashion. But now that I found astrology, it gives me a whole different avenue to be able to help people
Right.
in a different way.
Right.
And I really like that. I mean, I like helping people, and I've been very pleasantly surprised how accurate it was. because, science background, even though I know the planets are and I do all this and I understand all the dynamics and all the information I've been taking in. I mean, I'm like in it for astrology groups. I mean, I'm always like, I can't stop learning about astrology.
Right, you're same with me. I'm always learning. That's why I love to go to Las Vegas, because I'm there for 3 days studying with doctors and naturopath, MDs, and it's a trade show. I know, because I wouldn't have found my grounding mat, earthing.
The grounding mat.
And I really believe in that because it gives off a vibration from the earth. And, we get so busy with technology wearing our shoes. So I like the grounding because I can sleep on my pillow every night and get the results of grounding rather than being outside walking my bare feet.
Especially when it's cold in February.
Right, exactly. But then it's just a time element too. So, but anyway, I totally get that. Yes.
Yeah. So astrology. I mean, I think so. As I mentioned, you can do it up for free. You can look up things, but I would suggest and invite that everybody at least once in their lifetime, maybe more, is get a professional reading to get an idea of understanding your growth edges and your gifts and whether you're using them or not. Because you, just like I said, if you look at a chart, it doesn't always mean that's what the person is doing.
Right.
I mean, there really is a lot of free will, and understand yourself in a deeper way. It's just, I call it a tool in your toolbox. I mean, you need a tool belt, you need a lot of tools.
Right, exactly.
This is your GPS, and you and I grew up with maps, so it's like, you need a map. Like, why would you go someplace and not have your map? Or not at least glance at it once in a while. I mean, not to look at it all and just to be driving around blindly. Seems
it's
like
a guide for you. And sometimes you feel the intuition you need to do this. And this can be a verification to say, this is something that you would be very good at, or give you some confidence to do that.
Right. I mean, you can look at a chart and know if people have intuition or not.
Right.
Or, and so, or just like if they're very sensitive, but maybe like they've had some issues in life and they've sort of like frozen up and they're not feeling things anymore.
They're stuck.
They're stuck.
Yep.
Any of those things. That can be that can be a problem. And then this is just another way, like maybe, you did other types of things and you still haven't realized that you're stuck, or you haven't figured out a way to get out stuck. This is another way to understand why you might be stuck, and give you some remedies of how to get unstuck.
Right, to move forward.
Right.
Correct. Yes.
So and and it can just go back to the basics and the elements. Like if someone is a water sign but they're not being able to feel, they might need to get into water. They might need to watch a sad movie to make them cry, so they really reignite that connection to the water element.
Okay.
The air element is thinking. They could be overthinking and they're not really. It's too much, like they're ruminating, or it can be they're not really getting that information out. Like maybe they need to journal.
Right.
To get that information out. And then on the earth element would be that maybe they need to be outside and need to be more connected to their food and picking the more nutrition things. Or maybe being more organized too. Earth can be about organization and lists. And then fire is about your passion and your joy. And so you can light a fire is one thing. One of the fastest ways to get your fire going is to sing.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so, or dance, that movement. So the fire, so getting just basic things like that, that's like basic medicine for each of the elements. And so when you look at a chart, it'll also show, can you bring one of those charts up again? I'm sorry, I just thought of this.
Which one do you want?
I don't care either one. Okay. So on the very bottom there, we can see the different planets, and to the right under the circle has to do with the elements. And so it'll show the planets in the different elements. And then that'll also show you like, so for yours it shows that you don't have that much water. Now, well, that doesn't necessarily mean that you're not an empathetic person.
Right.
It could mean that you came into this life with so much water that you don't need to have planets and water.
Right.
And then we can go into the houses too. So there's a whole lot you can go into that. But it just elementally, you don't have to know a lot more else about the astrology, but understanding that, and then it sort of changes depending on what else is going on with the planets, because of that circle. And then around it, you can see where the other planets are, and as they go around, they highlight. So you can see like, well, here's your Libra here, and if there's nothing going on, you're good. But all of a sudden, some heavy planet like Pluto's sitting on your Libra, or whatever planet, like all of a sudden it's highlighting it. It's talking to it. It's ruffling its feathers maybe.
Wow.
And then you're all of a sudden feeling like, I'm just like not happy. I'm mad or whatever like that. And even just like subtlety with the moon itself.
Okay.
The moon goes through all 12 cycles every month.
Oh, really?
Yes.
So what are the 12 cycles?
I mean, the 12 zodiac signs.
The air and the water and the
Well,
metal and the fire?
it'll do elementally, but it'll do all the 12 zodiac signs in 1 month.
Okay.
It's like every 2.5 months, the moon, I mean, 2.5 days, the moon goes into a different sign.
Okay.
So theoretically, if you could follow that even, it would be interesting to look like how your moods change as the month goes through, as you're going through those different signs.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now, we have a new moon coming up too. We might
Right.
want to talk about that.
Yeah, I was going to talk about that. And I was going to say, if you have a piece of paper and a pencil, just get that
Okay.
aside. And I brought Janet one.
Okay, good. All right, so
And we
what
don't
we
have
need
to do it right this second, but what I wanted to invite is that every new moon is an invitation to make an intention to improve your life in some way. And
Okay.
in regards to the zodiac signs, because each zodiac sign has some kind of traits. The new moon tomorrow is in Aquarius, and Aquarius about the future thinker, being okay with your quirkiness, or your little idiosyncratic things, being different than the crowd, and being okay with that. It also has to do with like the collective as a whole. Like Aquarius really likes to help as a group.
Okay.
Like it might make groups of farming together, or it'll be a group of people helping. We realize like somebody just had something bad in the neighborhood, and you gather together
Oh,
as a
yeah.
group and help them.
Right.
In other words, they help people collectively in smaller or bigger groups. But
Right.
but they're always looking at the bigger picture and helping people.
The helper.
Right. And so then you can sort of sit and think about it with your where you are right now in your life, and you don't have to think about really astrology, but with those kind of invitations, like what would you do? What seeds would you like to plant now? Besides the lettuce.
Right, exactly.
But you can put the lettuce and this together.
Right.
Plant your seed, and what happens is then in 6 months we'll have a full moon in Aquarius, and I have the date. Oh, that is somewhere. Oh, God.
So basically, say for an
Oh,
example.
yeah, August 19th.
August
Right.
19th. Okay.
So August 19th will be when the full moon is. And so the invitation is, so you plant the seeds now. You give a lens of Aquarius gives you the lens of how that trajectory to go. And then you look at the full moon and see where you are. When you planted those seeds, did they grow?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
Did you water them enough to get to that point?
Right.
Did you pick the wrong seeds to plant there? I mean, because you could be stuck and you didn't put the right fertilizer in.
Right. Say if there's like I have a client or friend that is very depressed. So you can apply it to your support for your body as well.
Anything. There's no
Maybe
limit. It's just that with the lens of astrology, you can add a little you can strip it down or like laser point it versus like when we make our intentions at the beginning of the year, we're all making big intentions.
Right.
Sometimes they're so big that we really can't accomplish
It's
it.
better to focus on one.
So like if you break it down smaller, I mean just showing up, just making it like writing it down is step one.
That's exactly,
You
yes.
write
yeah.
it down, and
Yeah.
maybe you look at it once a week. I mean, you pick what works best for you, but you can pick more than one thing. You can how ambitious you feel, but there's one thing you've been hanging that you've been wanting to do, you've been meaning to do. I mean, like I said, astrology invites it to like a certain lens, but it's not necessarily kept in that. But every new moon is an invitation for that. Every new moon, and then 6 months later, it'll show up in that same sign.
Right.
Right. I mean, we have a new moon and full moon every month
I was going to
anyways,
say, yeah.
but they're not the same astrological or zodiac signs. And so
right.
that's the difference. The energy is a little different.
Okay.
But this has a trajectory.
Right.
So we got Aquarius beginning and Aquarius end.
Okay.
And
Good.
see where that pulls us.
Okay.
And then next month, March 10th, there will be the new moon in Pisces. And Pisces is about artistic, about more spiritual, like connecting to your spiritual, like maybe you'll make a practice to go to church more or whatever your spiritual practice is, or do something artsy to release that creativity.
Okay.
Because that's what the other thing that astrology did for me is that, I mean, I'm a scientist, I mean, a pharmacist, I've been doing it for years and years, and I'm not, I would never say I'm an artist, but we all have a creative edge, it just comes out in different ways. So astrology, not only has it given me an opportunity to help people, it also gave me an opportunity to do art. So I created boxes
Okay.
that are about astrology, and as in a different way. I mean, it gave me an artistic outlet, but it also gave me a way to connect in a different way and invite people to do astrology. Besides just doing a reading, you look at the box has crystals. Can I open one?
Well, yeah, okay, absolutely. Yeah, because I had bought some for for Christmas gifts.
Yeah, so I'm going to say they're really pretty.
Yes, yes, very nice.
And they have all kind of crystals, and
Say, for example, so you got a crystal, which, well,
we got crystals.
now what is the benefit of that crystal?
So the crystals, these basically energetically go with this sign. This is a Virgo box.
So also, just so they know, so you know your sign, it depends upon your birth date.
Correct.
And just making it simple so they get it.
Right.
Okay, all right.
So this is just like a tactile way. It's like things you can touch.
Right.
And touch and connect to it in a different way.
Okay.
And then I had like plant essence that I made, and we've got a tea light candle. I've got a rock from Lake Erie, charged in the lunar eclipse. So I've got all kind of fun stuff, and incense, and
Right.
I give, she brought her one paper, I give you all kind of detailed information. So like, because I'm a pharmacist, I always give you too much
The
information.
detailed.
So I got all about everything.
Yeah, nice, nice.
So it's just another way. So I go to a lot of fairs. I go to Carol Brokowski's fairs. I go to Elizabeth Howe's fairs. I do some live readings the first Fridays at Mountain and Flame in Wadsworth.
Oh, really? Now, where's that at?
In Wadsworth, I think it's on Broad Street.
Okay, and you go there once a month?
Once a month, yeah. I'll be there this Saturday, but then after that, I'll be the first Friday.
Okay,
Like,
okay.
I think it's like 5:30 to 7.
Okay, so how many do you usually do, the readings within?
Those are little mini readings, like 15-minute readings.
Okay, okay.
So-
Interesting.
Yeah, so that way, I mean, I think nothing is a one-size-fits-all. I mean, a lot of times a little meeting is enough for people to
Right.
sort of give an invitation. You know, learning the big three is what astrology is about in the big picture, like knowing your sun sign.
Yes.
Your sun sign is basically your outward appearance, how you present to people. Most people know the sun sign. That's what they do when they look at the newspaper and
Okay.
read about it. And, you know, and it's, you know, that can be fun, just reading
Right,
about it and seeing
right,
about
right,
it.
right.
And then your moon sign is like your internal workings, your emotional,
Okay.
how you process on the inside. You know, you think the moon,
Interesting.
it's
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
And then your rising sign, and then you need the time for that, is more about what you're supposed to accomplish in this lifetime, what you're supposed to learn.
Interesting. Yeah.
And so those are the three most important parts of this chart. And sometimes they can be in conflict, because if you can think about 3 different roommates living together, and they're all trying to what to do, like you're trying to go out. Like you and I, if we were going out and we could pick, like my rising sign is Sagittarius, and Sagittarius can be could be very adventurous. They really like to learn all the time. They can be a little blunt. They like to
Straight.
travel.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like if you're the Libra, you're going to be deciding what to wear, where we're going to go. Oh, I don't know if we should go here or we should go there. Maybe we should do this. Well, how much is that going to cost? I don't know if I should do that. And I'll be saying,
Let's just do it.
I don't think we should just do something like random, like off the chart, like something
Right.
different. I'd be saying that. And then the Sagittarius, I would be saying, just do it. You guys just get dressed and get out of the house. I don't care what you wear. You know? So you can just sort of see like that's sort of going on in your head, like all those different energies are floating around, and depending like how concentrated they are, some show up more than the others.
Well, I am determined to find out my birth time, so I could get a good total reading rather than partial.
Yeah, that would be really good.
Yeah, yeah, because I know Joanna here at the studio is a Libra as well, and so is the gentleman doing our recording. He's a Libra.
A Libra.
Yeah.
Okay.
So,
Yeah. Well, Libra's also about aesthetics too. Libras tend to dress well, from what I've seen. They really have a good view of like artsiness.
Yes, that's very true for me. Exactly.
And just like art in general, and then just like
Have an eye for it.
I have an eye for like how things go together, like clothes-wise, they're in their house. Just things seem to like, you'd be like, how did they even think how to put that together? I would never guess that, and it looks really good.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
yeah.
but Libra's ruled by Venus, and Venus is about aesthetics and good looking, so
Right.
it makes sense.
Interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. Yeah.
So, let's
Good.
see what else.
And so, whenever you do an astrology reading, normally do the people come like once a year or once or twice
that's
every a year?
Like, now one size doesn't fit all, so it can depend. I mean,
Okay.
I'd say everybody should at least come once, because you need a template, you need a guide where you are,
right.
at least at this moment in time, because a year from now it could be different.
Right.
And then it really depends what's going on in your life, like how much guidance you need or want.
Right.
And if you've got a lot of stressors, that you might want to come more often to sort of understand the dynamics of what's going on in your chart. And and whatever else you're using too. I mean, like I said, I don't think astrology is the be-all, end-all. I think it's a tool in the toolbox.
Right.
I
It's a guide for you.
Right.
If you are searching and need some guidance just in life.
Yeah, I've been blown away how accurate it would be. I'm just going to say that. I really was very skeptical on science-based. I mean,
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Can you give us an example without mentioning any names?
yeah, I mean, last week I had mother and daughter.
Okay.
And the first time I did a younger kid, like 10. I mean, it was real accurate. Even figured out that she was having trouble in school. And I could tell why it was, because of what was going on planetarily. And then the mother decided to get a reading too, which I thought was nice. And she wasn't planning on it, so obviously that she thought the value of what I was talking
Right,
about. Yeah.
right.
So yeah, they were cute.
Very open-minded.
Uh-huh.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were very
Now-
connected, very similar charts too, which was interesting.
So if you're not able to make it on a Friday night or Saturday when you do the show, do you provide the
Yeah, I have
Ready?
I have an email and a phone number for my business.
Okay.
And then I can set up a time. I mean, I have a dialogue platform, which is like Zoom. I can do it online.
okay, but
And
how about in person?
I can do it in person too. If
Yeah.
we can.
Do you do it in your home? Do you have an
I haven't done that yet.
Okay.
But that is an option. I mean, most of the time I've met somebody someplace else, or I've done it online because of,
Right. Well, we do have the show in Salem on the 25th of February, because unfortunately this is a show for March. Now, where are you going to be in March?
In March, I'm going to be,
In Brunswick.
I think, in Brunswick. I don't remember.
Okay. I just, because I know, in Marietta.
Oh, Marietta, that's right.
Yeah, that's
Marietta,
right. Yeah,
we did talk
exactly.
about
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
But that's not locally for them.
yeah, no.
And
Well, when I'm at the show, I'm basically more of a vendor. I mean, I have my
you
I
have,
have my
your gifts.
artsy
yeah.
astrology things, but I can talk a little bit about astrology. But you can find me in person, then we can make an appointment.
Yeah, because I have a feeling with time, when you do these shows, you could end up doing like a 15-minute, reading for them with astrology, correct? Is that your goal, do you think?
Yes, I mean I'm basically trying to get my information out.
Okay.
And if you talk to me in person, I think that's the best way. You're going to know. You're going to make a decision.
Exactly, yeah.
Versus something
And-
online.
Yeah, or even like you said on Zoom as well, but I prefer the in-person. That's just me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, we're both sort of that way.
Right, exactly, yeah.
But it helps. Like I've had people out west. California, Arizona. So I've done calls that way, because obviously we couldn't be in the same spot.
Right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. It's
Interesting.
really, I I just really like it.
It's your passion.
It is my passion.
You know, and I understand that, because that's like the holistic health is my passion. And you kind of blend in with that as well, with the astrology, a guidance for you. Because I know last year for Christmas, they had a astrology book, a little book. I bought it at the dollar store, if you can believe this or not.
It's starting to see it in more places.
Yeah, and it was a sign, so I bought everyone for Christmas, put it in their stocking.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought that was interesting. Yeah. I think more and more people are becoming aware of it as well.
Right.
So, especially if you're kind of stick and you need a little more motivation, and knowing that have confidence in yourself, and that can kind of help you, give you a lift to get moving forward, right?
Oh yeah, definitely,
yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, and it's, you know, and like I said, there's so many kinds of astrology. We're just basically talking about Western modern astrology, which is more what we do in this country.
Right.
But there's, you know, all kind of things. I went to a seminar on financial astrology recently, just to hear.
Oh, really?
That talked about how to invest in the stock market using astrology as one of your assets. You know, using it as a base. Mm-hmm. Which was interesting. I mean, J.P. Morgan did have an astrologer on his. Yeah, he did.
Really?
Yeah. And Freud, the doctor of psychology, said that, you know, astrology wouldn't be a science without, or psychology wouldn't be a science without astrology. He used astrology charts in his practice.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Very interesting.
So it is, you know, like I think this is sort of like as we move forward, we're realizing, you know, more than one thing can be true at the same time.
Well, I don't know if you're able to do this, because we have like maybe 7 minutes left. Say you could go through each sign and tell a little bit of trait about each one of them. Would that be possible?
Yeah, definitely, yeah.
You know, because everybody is watching it, and everybody has a different sign.
Right.
Could be a Libra, could be, you know.
Right. So Aries is like the beginning of the year for astrology, and Aries, there's the first sign, which is spring.
Okay.
Aries tend to be very bold. Like if you want a project started, you want an Aries on your side, because they're going to just take charge and go. I mean, they might not think it through, but they're going to get going.
Yeah, yeah.
Now Taurus is the next sign.
And that is what is it? What is that month time? Is that?
I don't
you don't have that.
I don't have it memorized, because sometimes a leap year, like we're in a leap year, it changes
right,
a little bit.
Right, that's right, yes.
And I don't have my phone because I'm behaving.
Okay, all right. Okay, so
sometimes, yeah, but I know them. I mean, I know them by heart. I mean,
right.
You can always look that up, but you might know. You should know. You probably know if you're that sign. If not, we can look it up.
Right.
But generally speaking, and obviously because there's a lot of nuances that can change, but in the general,
right,
you know, thing. And so Taurus is the next sign. Taurus is the bull. Taurus can be sort of the opposite of Aries. It's hard to get Taurus motivated, because they can be very stubborn and slow moving. Okay. I mean, they analyze things sort of like a Libra, but in a much slower fashion.
Okay.
And then they don't. You can't really push them.
Okay.
Usually they're not
kind of set in their ways.
Yeah. Taurus.
Yeah.
And then the next one would be Gemini.
Okay.
Then Gemini's very fast thinker. Another air sign. Aries was fire. Taurus was earth.
Okay.
The Dalai Lama was a Taurus.
Okay.
Just an interesting point.
Nice.
Gemini, fast thinker. They're a multitasker. If you need someone to get a projects done, you want a Gemini doing it. They're just go. And they get bored easy, so you know you got to keep them.
They got to keep moving. Yes, yeah.
And then the next sign is Cancer. Mm-hmm. Cancer is a water sign. Cancer is very sensitive, very home related. Like the home and family's like really paramount for them. Mm-hmm. Very sensitive, cry very easily. And you think in the Cancer, as you think about the crab, it's got a hard shell because they need to be protected. And then the next sign would be Leo. Leo's fire. Leos like to be out and about. I mean, the charts I showed for Bruce Springsteen and Diana Ross, they had energy in Leo. Entertainer, like to be in that. Michael Jackson, too, had a bunch of Leo. I mean, you start looking at all the entertainers, they usually have a concentration of Leo energy. It doesn't always have to be their sun either, but they have a lot of energy in Leo.
I'll have to check that out and see what I'm relating it to my children.
Yeah. But Leos like to be out and about and be seen. I mean, although they can have imposter syndrome, and if they're not living their full potential, then the Leo can feel like they're not good enough. So, I mean, any of those signs can have the positive
And
and
I think
negative like
Leo's
that.
in August, if I remember correctly.
Right, yeah, it is.
And I have 2 in August.
So you could either be a Leo or a Virgo, depending where their birthdays are. So those are
Okay.
close.
Yeah.
So after Leo is Virgo.
Right.
And Virgos is an earth sign. Now Virgos want to be a service to people. They're very list-oriented. They can be very organized. They can also be very picky. Like they have a certain way they like things done, and it's really hard for them to have people do it a different way. And they're sort of analyzing everybody. They analyze people, they analyze themselves. They're always analyzing things. That's Leo. I mean, that's Virgo. So that's 6, 7.
Interesting.
Yeah. Then we've got, let's see what I said. Leo, oh God. Virgo, Libra.
Libra.
Yeah, Libra, which we sort of talked
Right,
about.
right.
About balance and relationships and things like that. And then after that would be Scorpio. Now, Scorpios usually gets a bad rap because they're can be an intense sign. They're actually pretty sensitive because they're water. They really like to dig down to the surface. Like you can't lie to a Scorpio. They're going to see right through it. And if you do that, they're going to never forget it.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. So, but if you want someone to dig deep and get to the very bottom and figure something out,
ask them.
you want the
Yeah.
Scorpio on your team.
Yeah, yeah.
And then Sagittarius is a perpetual student. That's sort of like the Santa Claus of the thing because they're usually sort of gregarious. Everything's, no big deal. Everything's a big picture. Who's going to sweat the details? We just,
Just
do
do it.
this. This will be
Just do it.
fun.
Yeah.
Forget about it. No, you're stupid. That's okay. Don't take offense, but let's do this. Yeah. And then you got Capricorn.
Okay.
Capricorn is practical. It does things really well. And it will also probably pay someone else to do it all, and they'll be supervising. They're like the
They
CEO.
want it done right.
They want it
exactly.
done right, but they're going to pay other people because they're not going to always put all the work in. But they're their CEO. If you think of a CEO, the CEO's got a lot of responsibilities, got things going, but they're not necessarily doing all the work. In that
Yes.
sense.
Yeah. Nice.
And then you got Aquarius.
Okay.
Aquarius, which we talked about a little bit, is the future thinker. It wants to help people in a big way. Sort of eccentrics. Sort of goes to their own beat. There'll be the people that have the red hair. Sometimes look crazy dressers and things
Right.
like that.
Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
And then you got Pisces, which is the very end, is a very sensitive, spiritual, artsy. A lot of people that are in the arts of any kind, dancing, art, painting, and theatrics, a lot of times are Pisces. Pisces is about art, and it's also about spirituality. They really have a connection to the above and really connect, and that's really important in their life.
And that's a nice little overview for the audience watching.
Good.
To give you some insight into it. So, because I know I always check my readings every day in the newspaper. It's just a habit.
Right. It's fun. I mean,
But I am going to find my birth date. I've got to find that, or the birth time.
Right.
And then we'll move forward with that.
Yeah. Definitely. It'll be interesting once we have that more detailed information to look in that and
Right.
and see how that resonates with you.
Right.
Yeah.
But even if you don't have the birth time, it still can be pretty accurate.
Pretty accurate. Like I said,
Not as
when we
much.
showed your chart, you don't have the houses, so that's like another layer of explaining of how things go together.
Okay, got it.
And I can't do the rising sign, so we only know 2 of the 3 that we really would want to know
Okay,
as
all
far
right.
as understanding it in an astrological way.
Now, and just so you know, I did call the hospital where I was born, but they didn't have the records. They don't go that far back, so it's not like I'm 20, you know what I'm saying, or 30. So I'm just telling you, if you know where you were born, you can always call and check at the medical records for that as well, correct?
Yeah, you can try with the government office, whatever.
Now, and do
Live
they
births.
put the birth time on the birth certificate?
Some of them do. I mean, there's been times when they did and didn't. I mean, that's what I'm seeing depending on the area. Some people can find it and some can't.
Okay, I'm just
So-
trying to give people a direction on how
Right,
to go as
right.
well.
Right.
Okay, well, you've provided a lot of information on the astrology. I find it very interesting, and I trust Venette. She really knows and has researched and has studied and has a lot of experience with this. So you can always reach out to her with her phone number, or I have it as well. And Mother's Day is around the corner. Maybe you want to give that to your mother or your sisters, whatever.
Yeah, it'd be a nice gift.
Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I did enjoy meeting you and hopefully everybody else.
All right, and you've learned a little bit about yourself as well. So be well, enjoy spring. Don't forget to plant your lettuce and enjoy.
And make your intention.
Right, exactly, intentions. And write it down,
Yes.
especially on the new moon.
New moon.
Which is, so that would be in March would be new moon. Do you know?
New moon is March 10th.
Okay, March 10th, so write that down.
Yes.
Okay.
And then it ends at September 17th for that time.
Okay, so thank you so much. Be well. Welcome spring. Enjoy. Thanks.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.